Good morning, Wabash. Speaking today at Pioneer Chapel will be Christian Gray and Kim King II with their talks titled Elevation and Accountability. Christian Gray, class of 2025, is a psychology major with an Asian Studies minor from Indianapolis, Indiana. He serves as the vice chairman of the Malcolm X Institute of Black Studies, where he works with his brothers to foster an empowered community. Within the Institute, Christian focuses on advancing Black intellectualism and understanding of Black history. Beyond Wabash, Christian aspires to earn a master's degree in neuropsychology with a vision to develop innovative treatments for mental health conditions. Like many Wabash men, Brother Kim King II came to Wabash as a recruited scholar athlete. During his 4 years, he continued to excel in both areas and served on the executive board of the Malcolm X Institute. Upon graduation in 1999, he was the proud recipient of the John Mills Prize in Religion, John Mills Fellowship in Religion, Wabash Club of Indianapolis Scholar Athlete Award, and the Frank Sparks Award for all-around student achievement. Immediately after Wabash, he earned a Master of Divinity from Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, and served as a youth and lay minister in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. After ministry, Kim began working in higher education at Ball State University and eventually joined the enrollment team at Wabash College in 2008. This is Kim's third stint with the college, mostly recently returning from helping lead Payne Technology Seminary through the COVID pandemic and unparalleled financial growth. Residing in Crawfordsville with his canine companion, Bongo, Kim is now the proud Malcolm X Institute staff member and is helping to restore hope and trust through an early bridge summer program, Pathway to Your Future. Let's give a warm welcome to Christian and Kim.
Good morning, Wabash. Good morning, okay, Chris Orange today. Okay, first off, I just want to take a quick second and just say thank you to a few select folks. First off, thank you to Kim King for agreeing to do this chapel talk with me, as well as just beyond that, truly being my mentor here at Wabash. He's taught me a lot, just how to be a better man, better Black man, period. I also just want to give a quick shout out to this student section is packed, more so than it usually is, for the Malcolm X Institute of Black Studies. And lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you who has come to our Black History Month events. Thank you. So our theme for Black History Month this year is elevation. So today I want to use my platform that y'all have given me to elevate a discourse, to elevate a conversation. This college faces an issue. I say that as someone who has grappled with this place for 4 years and has ultimately settled on a place of love. And I know that's a love we all share. So I say that earnestly. We have an issue, and in my course of learning to love this place, I've observed it. This is an issue that has not been genuinely discussed in any circle I've found myself in, whether with students or with administrators. So today I want to use my platform to elevate that discourse, like I said, and marshal the conversation honestly. That's all. This college faces an issue with Black students. What more can we do to get more Black students on campus? I done been asked this question more times than I can count by students, professors, recruiters, you name it. And in fact, every week in the Institute, we host Brother to Brother, in which we answer questions. We go around the room, answer questions from a jar. And last week, we got asked this question. It's very pertinent. What is the Institute doing to advocate for Black rights on campus, besides Black History Month? Why aren't we advocating for Black faculty and staff? What change are we trying to implement? Or are we just a fun club that has fancy get-togethers that we call GB or Brother to Brother? Once we read that question, it was a heavy atmosphere in the Institute, y'all, let me tell you. But this really got me thinking. Where does the responsibility to help the Black community lie? Does it lie with us students? Clearly, the person who wrote this thought so. So I really started to entertain that. Okay, so let's assume that it is the student's sole responsibility to help the Black community on campus, right? So we, talk to every Black kid that's being recruited. We make comments about what it would take to build a better community. Hell, the Institute's mission statement, part of it at least, is being an educational bridge to the wider community. And these are all very important things, y'all, but this does not solve the problem. So I did some light digging in the college's common data sets. These are widely accessible to anyone, just talks about enrollment rates, graduation rates, et cetera. So forgive me, this is where the psychologist in me comes out. In 2018, 6% of Wabash's student body was Black. That means that there were 50 Black bodies on campus. Now, over the past 6 years, this rate has not stagnated or increased. It has decreased, in fact. As of 2023, Wabash's student body was comprised of only 4% Black students. That means we've gone from 50 to 35 in the course of 6 years. Now, compare this to the upward trajectory of the Hispanic population, which has seen a 4% growth in those same 6 years. We have gone from 78 Hispanic students in 2018 to 100 as of 2023. Now, I want to be very clear, y'all. I don't draw this comparison to comment on the differences in behaviors of the groups. I only draw this comparison to point out the differences in behaviors of the college towards the groups. It is clear that not all groups within the title Student of Color face the same challenges. There is no reason for one group, Hispanics, to be thriving while another group is declining. In my time here, actually, let's specify, in the past 2 years, we have gone from 5 Black faculty members to 2. And one of them actually isn't even here right now on campus. Still shout out Dr. Watson, though, who's taken the place of Dr. Lake. Yes, thank you. Over in admissions, we have gone from 3 Black recruiters to 1. That was actually only in 1 semester. The graduation rate of Black students is significantly lower than the graduation rate of the college's average, and this is lower than any other minority group. Not only is the Black population at Wabash dwindling, but so too is its support system. If this confuses y'all, it should. If this frustrates y'all, it should. Why is this not being talked about? Where is the conversation? I, a student who is paying to be up here, is raising these questions, meanwhile people are getting paid to. And keep in mind, y'all, all that was only from some light digging. This is what I, as a student, had access to. Who knows what an in-depth analysis would reveal? So let's return to the narrative that it is solely on us students to take care of, to fix, to mend the issues with the Black community on campus. I reject that narrative, period. If it was only up to us, y'all wouldn't be seeing these numbers. Because let me tell y'all, in the Institute, we handle business, okay? We have talked with every Black student or reached out to every Black student on campus, and we speak with almost every Black prospective student who comes on campus. So I know we put the work in. So instead, I turned towards the administration. The reality is that this college can do much more for its black community. In fact, I would argue it has the responsibility to. The concept of a black fraternity has been discussed for how many years? I would say my low estimate is 10. And instant after instant, the conversation goes nowhere. Would it cause more social division? Well, y'all already have the institute. What more do y'all need? As if that's a place to stop. If Wabash is a top 10 school when it comes to fraternities, this is not a valid reason. Clearly, there is an interest in a black fraternity, but I ask where the follow-up is. Now, I want to address the issue of black faculty. There is no denying that getting more black faculty on this campus is a very nuanced and tricky situation. But let me tell y'all, there are some easy things the college can do to perhaps mend that. When Wabash posts a job listing, they do not include the salary. This is a fairly common practice. But do you know what job sites require their salaries to be transparent? Job sites devoted to black educators and black professionals. So by excluding the salary from postings, the college is automatically ruling itself out from being put in front of the eyes of so many black educators. Now, what's the purpose behind that choice? I'll let y'all surmise that. But this is not the behavior of a college that is committed to improving the black experience. It seems obvious that getting more black faculty on campus would alleviate so many of the problems that I'm up here talking about. So why aren't we taking the baby steps? Let's talk about the Black Studies department. First off, like Asian studies, Hispanic studies, it's not even listed on the Wabash directory. And if it was, it would only have 2 people on it. But that's another issue, tying back to faculty. If the college was eager to re-inject life into its Black Studies curriculum, we would see efforts. Right? Dr. Lake's research into Nathaniel Blackburn was done with the intention of reinvigorating commitment to Black Studies on this campus. And where did it go? A painting in Center Hall? Legitimately, okay. If you want to make the job easier of the Black Studies department, one option is combining it with Hispanic studies, Asian studies, gender studies too, and combining it into a larger cultural studies major. That way you already work on the framework that each individual department has, and you just have to add the connective tissue, that's it. These suggestions are not performative. These are not virtue signals. These are concrete things the college can do to increase the Black experience. We need to uplift Black studies, and these are all things that could drive Black students who come here. They cross the border of Crawfordsville, Indiana, and come on this campus and see an unrenewed commitment. We need to see a renewed commitment to bettering the Black experience at Wabash. What sacrifices are the college willing to make? If the system chooses to run on autopilot, it will always bend towards its nature as a predominantly white institution. If that's fine with y'all, that's what it is. But if we are committed to DEI, then we need to show it. I pray that these conversations are happening in upper circles, like in the Committee for Institutional Improvement, for instance, handles a lot of this. But earlier, I said the college faces an issue. However, the trajectory of the college would suggest that we aren't even facing it. We aren't even admitting it. It should not be up to the students to bring this up. If these conversations are happening, please disclose them. What more can we do to get more Black students on this campus? The solutions that we come up with for this question are directly limited by the frameworks we operate in. So let's be honest with ourselves, y'all. We face an issue with Black students. It's only when we accept this that we can begin to adequately address and solve this problem. Rates of Black men in college are decreasing across the nation, and the enrollment rate of Black students at Wabash is certainly par for the course for the other schools in the GLCA. But this is not something to hide behind. This is no reason to be complacent. If we are truly a top-tier liberal arts education, our students deserve better. The truth is, y'all, these conversations will be harder to have in years to come. Funding for DEI scholarships is in question. Funding for DEI institutions is in question. My genuine fear, y'all, is that in a few years, we might not even have the platform we have now. Please, do not let this college be in the same place in 5 years as it is now. Hell, even 1 year. The primary responsibility we students have is holding this college accountable. So let's remind them better. Thank you.
Why did I decide to go second? Dean Jones, I saw you grabbing for the pink slip. I like my job. Brother, you can't have it just yet, good brother. Good morning again, Bash. Good morning. Before I dive in, I have to disclose something really quickly. Bear with me. I'm thankful that a very dear friend, you all know about Coach Gilbert and Amin Brar and my relationship with those guys. But what you don't know is that Brother Brar's better half, this is her first chapel talk, and I'm gonna tell you something, and this is the honest to God truth. There's something profoundly special because this woman actually introduced me to Hennessy and Coke, and that's the honest to God truth. So, look, let me tell you something. Hey, this Black History Month, I'm thankful for you, Sister Brar. You got me going. True story. In college, and especially in seminary, I was particularly fond of New Testament scholarship. But in my personal life, I couldn't help but to be drawn to the stories of the Hebrew Bible. Just this semester, with a small group of seniors and Dr. Gelbman, I fell in love again with Esther. And what about those prophets, major and minor, the likes of Isaiah, Daniel, Jonah, Micah? Even if you're unfamiliar in the canonical sense, many of us have heard that prodigious line from Amos, "Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream." What makes prophecy work, I've come to appreciate, is not condemnation, but the relationship between the hope embedded in the prophetic word and the community for whom prophecy serves. What comes out is a tension between love and justice, between what is and what ought to be. Black Americans have grown adept in living in that space. Recent scholar James Cone, an architect of liberation theology in America, wrote a seminal book about 15 years ago entitled The Cross and the Lynching Tree. He dealt with the question, how ought the cross, that ultimate life-giving symbol of Christian faith, speak to the dignity of Black life in the face of lynching's terror in America? Black Americans lived in this space during World War II. While democracy was fighting them at home, they were fighting democracy abroad. Black Americans lived in this space during the Civil Rights Movement. While they were protesting and marching for voting rights, the Constitution's 15th Amendment was strangely quiet. Black Americans live in this space now. While education levels the playing field, we're fighting the school-to-prison pipeline. I'm here today because my maternal grandparents chose to live in this space between what is and what ought to be with dignity and courage. Having been chased out of Mississippi by white supremacy, my grandfather migrated to Indiana to cash in on the promises of equitable circumstances, refusing to use the deplorable side of a segregated laundromat. My grandmother set a standard of expectation defined by the American dream that literally and metaphorically drove me to the halls of Martindale. What Black Americans learn about living in this space between what is and what ought to be is to question the narrative of American innocence. We've been conditioned to ask, what happens to a dream deferred? And why does a caged bird sing? And so my first question, as one loyal son, is, what narrative of innocence shapes our own institutional attitude at Wabash? I promise the question is not theoretical. Its answer ultimately shapes our ability to identify and then to respond to institutional headwinds, those forces that prevent our ability to live out our mission for all students. We need to be careful mythologizing the college's founding. As a man of ministry, I value that our founders kneeled in the snow and dedicated the grounds to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But I also understand that that kneeling need not become the sole descriptor of an otherwise complicated history. If nothing else, those same men who kneeled in the snow faced a split in the Presbyterian Church around abolitionism just 8 years after our founding. And this split between the conservative First Church and the liberal Center Church helped lay the foundation for the racial tension that caused the unjust dismissal of one John Blackburn in 1857. If we allow innocence to be too loud, we will struggle to honor the legacy and implications of Brother Blackburn's life. But if we allow the Black American experience to inform our institutional dealings, if we allow ourselves to live in that complicated space between what is and what ought to be, we will better identify where we continue to perpetuate the unjust systems that drove John Blackburn away in the first place. If we live in this complicated space, we would not duplicate the patriarchal arrogance that told Quinn Scholler, or any other student for that matter, that he'd be okay. If we lived in that space, it would be known that Quinn comes from parents who understand the headwinds he will face as a young Black man, which is why they entrusted him to us in the first place. It would be known that he comes from a fearless mother who dragged him off the practice field in high school so that he could complete the requirements for the Center for Leadership Development Scholarship. If we lived in this space, we would celebrate our white brothers at the Toot for their aspirations to offset opportunity deserts after graduation. If we lived in this space, we would value the cultural bridge our Latino brothers bring to the table. If we lived in this space, we wouldn't be concerned about petty politics, but the kind of politics that allocates values authoritatively across the board. Let's not let our innocence get in the way. Innocence tells us that all lives matter while too many systems suggest that black folks do not constitute all lives. Innocents tell us that we have a constitutional right to bear arms, but somehow our elementaries are not protected by that same constitution. Innocence tells us that brotherhood prevails, yet our shout brothers are ridiculed for self-expression. Innocence tells us that belonging is an institution priority, but you already heard my brother say black faculty somehow remain elusive. Let's get beyond innocence and deal with the complicated truth. Are we ready to partner at every level to tell a robust narrative about addressing our headwinds? Together, one Wabash Nation. We have exemplars, to be sure, that encourage us. Will we continue to follow Brother Eller's lead as he lightens the weight of the doors that lead into the archives? The college's past always needs the fresh investigation of critical eyes, especially those which have historically been absent. Democracy in public discourse is not afraid of any topic. Its student leaders keenly trained. Restoring hope and restoring trust also leaves us with mature hope. The Black Art Showcase tells a rich story about the diversity of life in America, not just black life. And pedagogy across departments is shining. An econ class this spring will be in the Crawfordsville community exploring historical access to financial tools. Community engagement might very well be at an all-time high. Much more is happening for sure. Dean Jones lights up when he talks about the leadership and commitments he's garnered from Eugene Anderson, Kevin Chavis, Bob Nolan, and Houston Mills, seasoned soldiers. And the brothers of the two continue to confide in Mrs. Morgan in ways seldom documented. Wabash, let's be honest about our headwinds and courageous in our steps. As the author of Hebrews says, but we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who have faith and are saved. I believe in our fight. Thank you.
Just a few final announcements. This weekend and next week are packed with exciting events. Here's what's coming up. On Saturday, tennis takes on Hanover and Otterbein. Volleyball faces Moranthia Baptist in Greenville. And track will travel to Anderson. On Monday, we'll kick off Wabash United Week. It's gonna be a great week full of unity and inclusion of all of our groups to truly see the potential of what this campus can bring. Stay tuned for more updates. We hope to see you there as we make this a truly special week together. And finally, the MXIBS Red Velvet Comedy Show is happening at the Ball Theater in the Fine Arts Center on Saturday, February 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Hosted by Binky, a Chicago-based professional creative, the show features an incredible lineup, including the soulful sounds of Kia Trammell and the comedic genius of Michi Hall. The show will be accompanied by finger food and 2 raffle prizes throughout the show's continuation. Whether you're looking to enjoy some live music, need a good laugh, or just want to vibe with your friends, Red Velvet has it all. Don't miss out. mark your calendars and join the MXIBS for a night of entertainment. Now, will you all please rise and join me in singing Old Wabash? Da 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 da.